Welcome back to another UCL Fantasy video ahead of Matchday 11, the first leg of the semi-finals. This will be the best 50-man squad for the wildcard, so it's not only going to set you up well for this matchday, but also matchdays 12 and 13, where you get 3 transfers and then 5 for the final. And I'm also going to be providing some injury updates on all of the teams, including some key assets like Rafael Leao, who came off injured against Lazio in AC Milan's 2-0 victory. So let's go through every single position, starting with the goalkeepers, and be sure to drop this video a like, smash the subscribe button, and also share this video around with those that love UCL Fantasy. And also be sure to check out the best limitless team, the team selection video, and also the deadline stream, which will happen 2 hours before the kickoff for Real Madrid versus Manchester City. But let's get straight into this video and go for the best wildcard team. We only have 4 goalkeepers to choose from, and it's really close, I think, to distinguish between Maignan and Onana for the Wednesday game, but I think Courtois is definitely the standout compared to Ederson due to a higher ceiling, better ability to save penalties, and also he can get those extra save points in general. And I know Real Madrid might not be as good as Man City defensively over the course of the season, but in recent weeks, Madrid have kept quite a few clean sheets, and Man City still aren't able to get a consistent run of clean sheets going, and really I'd rather go for Man City defenders instead of Ederson to cover the backline there. And with Real Madrid, I think Courtois is probably the best option, especially with Eder Militao suspended. So I've gone for Courtois for the Tuesday and Onana on the Wednesday. They're the 2 highest scoring goalkeepers so far in UCL Fantasy this season. So I think they both speak for themselves, but you could make a case for going for Maignan over Onana, especially if you back AC Milan to reach the Champions League final and also to win the first leg at the San Siro. And of course, there's always this debate about both Inter Milan and AC Milan having the same stadium, but when AC Milan play the first leg, they'll be at home and they will have the better ticket allocation, should we say. They'll have more fans there, so it will work as a traditional game does with home and away fans. And I think these 2 goalkeepers are still the best, but it's really close between Onana and Maignan for that second spot. So let me know your thoughts on that subject. Let's now move on to the defenders. I've gone for a bit of a balance throughout the whole team, starting with the defence. And I think if you take a different approach and decide to put all your eggs in 1 or 2 baskets with 6 players from maybe 2 clubs like, let's say, Real Madrid and AC Milan, because you expect them to reach the final and also to maybe perform better, at least in the first leg, that's fine. But I'd always recommend having at least 1 or 2 options from the team you expect to be eliminated, because it's always good to have that insurance policy just in case. I've gone for Darmian in the back line. He's only 4.4 million, and since the knockouts have begun, Inter Milan have been very solid defensively, keeping a lot of clean sheets, and Darmian has been starting every single game in the right centre-back position and also getting some ball recovery points. So he has been very impressive. I know you have some more expensive alternatives like Bastoni, but I think Darmian is a much more cost-effective option, and he also is an enabler for the rest of your squad. I've also gone for Rudiger because Eder Militao is suspended, and I think Rudiger will start. Alaba's had a few injury problems, and I know both of them started against Osasuna in the Copa del Rey final, but Rudiger's actually got a very impressive record in the Champions League. So when he has started, he averages 6.2 points per game. The problem is he has come off the bench quite often, so if you're getting him right now, it might be an issue in the second leg because he is not guaranteed to start. It could be Alaba and also Eder Militao once we get to the Etihad game. But what you could do is bring Rudiger in for now and then sub him out or transfer him out heading into matchday 12 for Eder Militao, and you can cover Real Madrid that way. Or because they're going to be at the Etihad in the second leg and maybe City have an advantage going into that game, you could go for 2 Man City defenders instead. So that could be the way you navigate this potential issue. I've also gone for 2 AC Milan defenders in Theo Hernandez and Tomori, and Theo Hernandez scored a terrific goal against Lazio, a solo run, and he has that attacking potential as always, and he's my favourite AC Milan defensive coverage, even over Maignan. And Tomori's been very good for ball recoveries. You've also got a few other alternatives like Kalulu, so I think AC Milan boasts quite a few defensive options. I think the issue with them is they don't have many good midfielders, and up front it's Giroud and Rafael Leao, but I think these 2 are very solid. And I've gone for John Stones, and Man City are the best team in the world probably, but they don't keep enough clean sheets, and I wouldn't go for a double up in Man City defensively heading into the Bernabeu, even if they are the favourites to lift the Champions League for the first time. But that is my back 5. Let me know if you would change anything. Once Eder Militao comes back from suspension, I would pick him in over Rudiger, but by the time he comes back, you might want to go for that double up in Man City defence, which could be very good heading into matchday 12. I have opted for a very similar midfield to the best limitless team, but what that chip enables you to do is to upgrade Rodri to a more attacking option like Mahrez, and I think that could be a huge boost in the first leg. But Rodri's very reliable. He also scores the occasional goal, but he's only scored once in the Champions League, which is worth mentioning. A lot of his goals do come in the Premier League. Very good for ball recoveries though, very solid and dependable. So you could expect 3 to 5 points in every single game that he plays. So he's a decent option for that price, and you can consider some alternatives like Valverde or Tonali. But I think Rodri is probably the best at that price and below specifically. I've also gone for Calhanoglu, who scored a terrific goal against Hellas Verona, and he is the best attacking option from the Inter Milan midfielders. But in terms of the Inter Milan attack in general, Lautaro Martinez is certainly the standout, and if you had to pick only one Inter Milan attacker, he would be the one I'd opt for. But Hakan Calhanoglu would probably be the second best, and I know Lukaku's also been pretty good in the last month or so, so he's another one to consider as well for the Inter Milan forward line. And I've gone for 2 Real Madrid midfielders. Rodrigo was man of the match with a brace in the Copa del Rey final against Osasuna, so I think Rodrigo could be great here once again. He was also man of the match against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, although he didn't get the official award by the Champions League, and I think he could be very important once again. He was the one that made the difference in the semi-finals last year when Man City had a 99% chance of qualifying to the final, but Real Madrid made the comeback towards the end of that game and killed Man City's hopes. Let's see if there's a repeat of that once again this year. Vinicius Jr. and De Bruyne speak for themselves. I think they have to be in your midfield at this point in time. But if you have a question or maybe a debate of going for either De Bruyne or Mahrez, well, of course, I'd wait for the lineups first and see who starts, but I'm very convinced De Bruyne will. Mahrez is maybe a bit of a doubt with Grealish potentially coming back into the side after being benched against Leeds. But if I had to pick one, it would be De Bruyne, because I think he's more nailed on long term, and he's also been more consistent in the Champions League this season. And if you look at recent months, De Bruyne has been getting into a league of his own, scoring in big games, making the difference, especially in April. He's carrying it on into May as well. And despite blanking against Leeds in game week 35 of the Premier League, I still think he did a very good job, created some chances, and was unlucky not to get more returns. He even got a bonus point, which goes to show how well he did despite not getting an attack in return. So that's my midfield 5. I think it speaks for itself. Ideally, you'd have Mahrez over Rodri, but we simply can't because of budget. If you watch my best limitless team video, you will know my thoughts on Benzema and Haaland. Alongside Vinicius Jr., I think those are the 3 most essential players in UCL Fantasy, and you can't go without them. So what it really comes down to in the forward line is whether you go for an Inter Milan or AC Milan attacker, and then it comes down to which player do you pick. And I think we have plenty of options, of course, in Dzeko, Lukaku, Olivier Giroud, but I think the 2 best ones from those respective teams are Rafael Leao and Lautaro Martinez. And I give Lautaro Martinez the slight edge because of his form. He's got 4 goals and 1 assist in his last 5 games, and he hasn't even started all of those games. I think he started only 2 of them. He came off the bench in quite a few of those matches, and he still managed to get some goals and assists in the process. And with Rafael Leao, he isn't injured out heading into the Wednesday game, but the manager was quite positive. He said that he's going to be in contention to start the Milan derby, and Rafael Leao also posted a positive update on his social media account. So I think Rafael Leao will be available, and it isn't a serious injury, so they took him off as a precaution, so he should be fine. And it really comes down to now whether you prefer Rafael Leao or Lautaro Martinez. And I think Leao is explosive. He has shown what he could do against Napoli in the Champions League and also in Serie A. And Lautaro Martinez, I think, has just been really consistent in recent weeks. And when he enters these sorts of streaks, he can just keep on scoring in every single game. He was also man of the match in the last Inter Milan game in the Champions League against Benfica. So we know his qualities in front of goal when he's got that confidence, but he also is capable of some really big misses, both for Argentina and for Inter Milan. But at his very best, he is a quality striker, and he offers so much more than just goals. I've currently gone for Lautaro Martinez, but honestly, it's almost 50-50 to call between him and Rafael Leao. So if we get confirmation that the Portuguese forward will be available for the Wednesday game, then you might give him the edge instead of Lautaro, at least for the first leg, and that's completely understandable. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below in terms of Rafael Leao versus Lautaro Martinez. But I'm currently favouring the Argentine, but it's a very close call, as I've just said. Now what it really leaves us down to is the captaincy and also the bench order, which you already know by now. Those that play on the Wednesday, put 3 or 4 of them basically on your bench, including the goalkeeper. Those starting on the Tuesday, so the Man City versus Real Madrid game, put everyone in your starting 11 and you should be fine. In terms of the captaincy, I would favour a Madrid attacker on the Tuesday, so Benzema or Vinicius, and on the Wednesday in this case, I'd probably go for an attacker in Lautaro Martinez, but you might want to go for someone more defensive because you might think, like myself, that Inter Milan versus AC Milan could be a more defensive and close game compared to Madrid versus City, which could be more open-ended and it could be full of goals. So depending on what you think is going to happen in these games and your predictions, that's what I'd base my captaincy off. But I'd probably go for Benzema and Lautaro Martinez for the captaincy, and if I decide to go for Rafael Leao, or if you decide to go for it, then you could captain him instead of Lautaro Martinez. But I would not underestimate any defender. Even Theo Hernandez could come up with a goal or get that 6 or 7 pointer, which is still solid enough at this stage of the competition. We don't have that much margin for error, so I think 6 or 7 points for the captaincy is already fine. If I get that on the Tuesday, I probably won't even switch on the Wednesday, to be quite frank. But that is the best wildcard squad for Matchday 11. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. Let's try to get this video to over 300 likes. Let's keep on pushing towards 20,000 subscribers and beyond. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the links in the description below for the Patreon, channel memberships, Discord server, and the UCL Fantasy League. All of that is there. I wish you all the best of luck for the semi-finals and the rest of the competition, and I'll see you next time.